Listen, please like, subscribe, and share our YouTube channel.
Give him all my praises, cause he died for you and me.
Bringing awareness to domestic violence. You don't want to miss it, so tune in every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. on Facebook. Let's talk.
And that's why I keep praising him, cause
Let's talk.
he's so amazing, yes, he's amazing. Give him all my praises, cause he died for you and me. He's so amazing.
So hopefully she's gonna come on in the room. Hey, you guys, while we're waiting for my guest to come on in the room, those of you in the Sumter and surrounding areas, Lake City, Manning, Columbia, Bishopville, Rembert, Raleigh, North Carolina, Charlotte, all down up and through there. June 12th, we're going to be a night of praise and worship at the Black Cowboys Ranch in Rembert, South Carolina. And I'm excited because I feel God is getting ready to show up and show out. And I don't know about anybody else, but I need this worship and praise. I need it. And the service is going to start at 5. We're going to open the gates at 4:30. If you get there before 4:30, you can pay. We'll let you in. It's going to be $15 to get in. We have the powerful, anointed, amazing, anointed brown singers, sisters, coming out of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And we got the anointed George Dickens and the Gospel Disciples. They're coming out of North Carolina. We have the anointed Voices of Harmony coming out of, y'all get this, Cowpen, South Carolina. My God. Them some bad girls, though. We got the hard-hitting Melody Smalls with the Sumter Volunteers going to be there. The amazing spiritual caravans are going to be there. And then we got, oh my God, they just slipped my mind, coming out of Florence, South Carolina. Melody, what's the name of my guys coming out of Florence? LiShawn, I sent you an invite to come on and join me in. See if you can accept the invite. Melody, what's the name? Ray and Lawrence and all of them coming out of Florence, South Carolina. The thing was on my tongue and I just forgot. My friend, spiritual uplifters. That's them. And y'all, the bad spiritualettes. My girl Rhonda McFadden is a spiritualist coming out of New Zion. And Rhonda is going to be my MC for the night. We're going to have some vendors on hand. We're going to have, LaShawn is saying adding. So let's give it a minute. LaShawn is trying to come in, guys. So y'all put that on your calendar to come join us on June the 12th at the Black Cowboys Ranch. It's an outdoor venue. So we're going to do all the social distancing. Mask is required to get in. I'm going to have some masks and sanitizers on hand. We're going to have food for sale. Like I said, some vendors. If you want to bring lawn chairs, you're welcome to bring that. But we're going to have chairs out there. It says through the invite. So send me another invite. LaShawn, I can't answer while I'm on live. So send me another invite to come in here. You got to come in this way. I'm trying. She's saying adding. I don't know if she's in a good spot. It's saying connect. There you go.
Hi, hold on, bear with me.
We got her in. Hi, LiShawn. So she can tell this testimony. LiShawn, when you get ready, send me another request to add you in. LiShawn, if you've got more than one electronics up, you're probably going to need to come out of everything except one, because when you do that, it's going to interfere with your connection and a whole lot of static. So it looks, I see you watching like 4 different times, so you might have multiple electronics on right now in your house, your phone, your laptop, or whatever. Come out of everything except one, and then send me an invite to bring you back in. Okay, it's saying adding. Okay, guys, thank y'all for being patient. It's saying connecting. Let's see if we can get her in here. I appreciate y'all patience. Excuse me. Okay, I'm trying to get her in, guys. It's saying connecting. So it's still saying connecting. Excuse me, guys. LiShawn is still saying connecting. I don't know what's going on. But okay, guys. Thank y'all for being patient. Hang on with it.
Okay.
There we go.
I'm
Okay.
sorry
Bring
about
your
all this,
phone.
y'all. I have an issue with being cold, and I had to get warm, but I'm okay.
Don't worry about it. Bring your phone down some so we can see that beautiful face.
Can you see
There
me?
you go. How
Oh,
you
here I
doing,
am.
love?
Hi. Hi, you all.
This is Miss LiShawn Moore. Can you bring your phone down a little bit more?
Okay, there you go. Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you. Look like you're laying down.
Yes, honey. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you, love bug. Thank you. I appreciate it. How you doing?
Feeling a lot better than what I was. I was going through it, but I'm feeling a lot better now.
Okay. Thank God
Yes.
for that. Yeah.
Yes, it's been a
Well,
long, rough
thank you
year for
for.
me last year. 8 months in the hospital, long time.
Oh, wow.
But I
Is
didn't
that
have
from the
COVID.
car
Thank you,
accident?
Jesus.
Is that from the
No,
car
this is
accident?
the aftermath that I took. My car accident was 17 years ago. This year,
Okay.
June the 3rd, will be 18 years.
Okay.
But I was in there for another medical condition that I had.
Oh,
Yes.
wow. Well, I'm glad you're doing better.
Yes. That's fine. You good, Miss Edith. But yes, ma'am. Yes. It's just been a lot.
Yeah, I can
It
imagine. I
has.
can imagine. Yeah, Miss
Oh,
LaShawn is
hold on.
everything all
Hold
right?
on. No, somebody fell just now.
Oh my
Hold for a
God.
moment. Get Miss Edith up.
Oh
She
my
fell.
goodness. Y'all give us a
She
minute. Give
fell in
us a
one of them chairs.
minute.
I keep telling y'all to tighten them chair legs up.
Oh my Lord.
She old too, but hold on. Bear with me,
Oh
y'all.
my goodness. Y'all
Kylie did that.
give us a minute.
Ooh. You okay?
I
You
pray
want
she's all
you
right.
want to get an ice pack? You gotta tighten the legs up on them chairs. The screwdriver right there on the table.
Oh my
Tighten them ones up
God.
to be on the safe side. Tighten those up to be on the safe side. Yeah, we had the movers and stuff bring the stuff back into the house, and they putting stuff together, but they're not tightening stuff. They're just doing stuff.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah,
sit in there.
yeah.
Sit in here behind me. Huh?
Oh, is
Yeah,
she
that was
okay?
scary. My God. Yeah, she said she hurt her back a little, but she's gonna
Oh
check
wow.
that out. Mm-hmm. But
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Hmm. Okay.
Bring your phone down some so we can see your face.
Okay, there
There
you
you
go.
go.
You back with me?
Yes, ma'am. You guys, Miss
Okay.
LaShawn is a survivor of kidnap, a survivor of rape,
Hmm.
um, and a
Abuse.
few other things. But I'm gonna let you tell it. What we do here, LaShawn, I don't do a whole lot of asking questions. I think people are more comfortable when they are just allowed to tell their journey. So I'm going to let you come and tell your journey, whatever way you feel comfortable, whatever way God allows you to tell it. And we're going to listen and we're going to support you. We're going to be praying and holding you up. So I'm giving the floor to you.
Okay, thank you. Well, like she says, I'm LaShawn Moore. Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me clearly?
Hmm. Yeah,
Okay. Awesome. Okay, yeah.
yeah.
Well, it started for me early. It was an early journey for me. Um, Getting misplaced. I would say misplaced. In a situation where I had no control. But those around me, if they would have paid attention, would have been aware. It started with a guy my mom dated who was consumed with the idea that he wanted a child, but my mom didn't give him one. So since I was the baby of all the other siblings, he felt as if I was more connected to him than the others. So at 2 years old, he decided to wait until the big festival they had in New York, to take me out to the festival. So he told my mom that he'd be back, and he never returned. We traveled from state to state, um, as if it was a journey or a vacation, as if it was a venture. A venture is his words. We're going on an adventure. So we pretty much went from state to state, ducking and dodging, and living a life as if we was on a big adventure. Pretty much like Dora the Explorer to me, where he thought it was just okay. Um, and the crazy part to me was that his sisters knew, but they never spoke up and said anything until he came to South Carolina to say, when I was 5, 6 years old, to say, well, this is my daughter I told y'all about. She needs to get registered for school. And being the sisters and I worked in the school district, and he didn't have no documents on me, they allowed him to tell him what to do, and they did it with no records. So I went through the school system
Wow.
with no documents until I was able enough to say enough is enough. And from being taken, as my mom would say, kidnapped because they couldn't find me and they posted me out as a missing child, but no one could find me. I went from that stage to him getting angry with me because I would ask for my mom. So he started beating me, throwing me in closets, having his dogs watch me. Till it was just, so some days it would draw blood, and to showboat, to cover it up, he would buy me things nice. Oh yeah, you can have this, or I bought you this. This is cute. You like this. But then when he would leave the house, he would lock deadbolts the doors from the outside and put me in a closet. And I couldn't understand why I couldn't come out to play. But then he had dogs, Rottweilers, that would sit at the door, and if I moved, they'll growl. And I just got used to being in the closet, so I thought it was okay. Okay, I already know today I get out of school. I do schoolwork, and then I go to the closet. And that happened for a long time. So it was no longer scary, but it became a norm.
Wow.
So get me the things that I want or need was okay. He figured it was okay. Then finally he met this woman. He started dating her, and she had a daughter. And that was a way out, because I would see her and would ask her, can I play with her daughter? And she finally got him comfortable enough to say, let her play with my daughter some days. But he would never tell her the situation. He just said, oh, I got custody of my daughter. Her mom is back in New York. So, I have to raise this girl on my own. And she stepped in and started playing the role as if she's a mother figure. Not knowing that the days that she went home, um, he would put me back in the closet. So during the day, I'm out. During the night, I'm in the closet. And she didn't know anything of it. Then when I was playing with her daughter, her daughter would ask, why you can't stay the night? My mom said you could stay the night, and I told her, no, I can't. As kids have a conversation or whatever, but I never would tell my situation to nobody. And then enough was enough. I was past that age of playing in the closet, so I was now 7, 8 years old. And he was still beating me to the point that I was have webs and cuts in my body from the belt buckle. Doing PE one day, we had to dress out, and I told the PE teacher I wasn't dressing out. I'm like, somebody's going to see that I need help. And I refused to dress out. And when I refused to dress out back then, kids was getting paddling at school. You go to the office, not doing what you got to do, you get paddled and sent back to class. But this time I said, no, I'm not dressing out for PE. And the coach says, no, you need to dress out or you get sent to the office. I told him I'm going to the office, and I walked out of his class to have a reason to write me up. So I walked out and went to the office, and I sat there and waited. So the principal came out, and that's why I was in the office and not in class. And I told her I got kicked out of PE. And she says, come on, let me look at your records. She looked at my record, saw that I had no referrals or anything, but wouldn't know why I was acting out. So she went to go paddle me, and I told her no, because I already was hurting. And she says, what hurts? And I pulled my shirt up and I showed her. And she was flabbergasted. She couldn't do anything. She couldn't say nothing. She just stood there staring at me and called for one of the other staff members at the front office to come into the room and close the door. And she says, is that the only place that hurts? And I told her no. And she says, I'm not going to ask you to pull your clothes down to powder you, but I have to make a phone call. And she made a phone call to DSS, and they came to the school. And another lady that was with her was another nurse. And they all came in with a police officer standing by the door, and they asked me to remove my clothes. And they saw this little fragile girl, probably no more than 75 pounds, if that, soaking wet, battered and bruised with open sores and cuts, blisters, and all to my body. And they asked me about this man. Who is he? Is he your father? And I said, no, that's not my dad. I'm looking for my. And it's like, who's your mother? And I told them my mother's Claudia, New York. They said, who brought me here? They said, well, where does he live? Which I didn't have an address for him, but I had enough sense to remember direction, because ride, he would never talk to me. He always say, lean your head down, like I'm. But when he's not paying attention, I look around at the corner of my eyes to see where I'm at. So I give them ideas of signs, trees, a color or something, but never nothing direct. They put 2 and 2 together because I said it was a that was great. Thank you. Yeah, cover that up so you can get to the house. Thank you. So I remember hearing trains, and I was like, it's a train that keeps coming through. They said it's a train, so they're putting a puzzle together, writing down ideas, trying to help me visualize where I'm at. And I'm telling them it's a train. It's a train that keeps coming through. And that's when one of the ladies says, I think she's by a railroad track that leads to the school, which at that time there was the railroad track that led to USC, the state in Orangeburg, the state university there or something. They have an Orangeburg, and she's like, yes, that's the track that runs all right, call me. That was the track that runs across. And I was like, I don't know, but it's a railroad track there. And the road that we go on, you have to turn around and come back off because there's no other way out. And that's when one of the other ladies said that she knew exactly what I was talking about. And I described the house to her. It had a fence around it. I told her it had a fence around it. And it was no more than about 2 or 3 houses on that road. And she says, I know exactly what you're talking about. So she told the cops, she says, we're not going to allow her to go home with him. And the cop said, no, we don't want him to run. So what we're going to let her do is let her regular routine go on. And then we're going to show up. And exactly what they did. He picked me up from school, took me back to the house. And I'm telling you, when I said it was on it, we wasn't even in the door good with him locking the door. The cops, sled and all of them was there kicking it in and shooting the dogs down because I told them he had 4 vicious dogs in that house that watched me like a hawk. And if I move, they growl or bite. And I said, when y'all come, y'all not going to get in that house if y'all don't kill those dogs. And sure enough, the dogs came from the side and attacked one of the officers and they shot them dogs dead. Told him, do not move, sir. If you move, we're going to shoot. The other lady grabbed me and told me to just come with her. Do I remember her? And I told her I remember her. She said, come with me. And I went with her. And even though they did what they did to his dogs and took him, this man was still telling these people, where y'all taking my daughter? And he was hung gun on, I was his daughter. And they kept telling him, sir, Mr. Amica, do you understand what we're saying to you? He's like, let my daughter go. Give me back my daughter. He was really yelling at these people like they did something wrong to him. You know, and I was really happy, to say less, but sad in a way. I don't know what that was about. And it was just to the point of like, I could finally get to my mom. You know, because every time I asked about it, it was always she's on her way, or, oh, she can't come, she got to work, or I talked to her earlier, you just missed the call. You know, stuff like that he was saying. But they wound up taking me from him and putting me in the foster care system. While I was in the foster care system, this man would literally find everywhere that I was at. And I said I blame it on his sisters because they worked in the school district. So wherever school I went to, they knew exactly where I was at because they could just look up my name and they could tell him where I'm at. And for years, until I was 12 years old, this man would pop up to everywhere I'm at to torture me. And his sisters allowed it to happen because, like I said, he would never knew where I was if they never told him. The same way they got me in the system for school was the same way they were keeping up with me when I would move from home to home. This man would show up to these people's house, bringing gifts, literally bearing gifts to these people to please let me get my daughter. I mean, he even offered one lady over $1,000. And back in the 80s, that was a lot of money. $1,000 was a lot of money to offer somebody. You know, and I was like, why he keep finding me? And then I told the caseworker, I said, can y'all not have his sisters and them have no contact to my information because that's where they're getting it from. Because he's torturing these people I live with, and I can't even go outside and play like a normal kid because they're afraid he's going to snatch me up. You know, and they was like, well, you're going to have to go to counseling because he keeps saying he's your father, and we can't prove he isn't until we take a DNA test. DNA test, for no lie, for some reason, took almost 2 years for them to take a DNA test from this man to show I'm not a father. But in the midst of all that going on, you know, they still had me doing visitation rights with this guy. I still had to go to visitation rights every Wednesday to see this dude. Non-supervised, in a room with the door closed, in a room with him. And I was like, don't touch me. Don't talk to me. And he's like, don't say that to me. I'm your father. How dare you? You know, and I'm like, okay, visitation time is up. You know, it's time to go. And no, you have an hour with him. You know, and they still holding on to the fact that he's my father when I simply told you I have no idea who this man is. And one day he came to visit. A phone call came through. And God knows that was one of the days that changed my life at that moment of that visitation. My mother was on the other end of that phone, calling around, and she got somebody and asked and told the lady, because the lady said, we have a Claudia Edwards on the line. I put her on hold. I don't know if the communication was misunderstood or what happened, but my mom hung up. And I haven't heard from them no more until I was 17 years old. But before all that even took place to see my mom, I was at a Christmas party. I was 12. And they called me to tell me that he got killed. Somebody cut his throat with a sword. The same sword he would threaten me with, somebody used it on him in an alleyway, gambling. And I didn't even know he was a mortician. I just knew he dressed in a lot of black suits, drove a black car. I never knew he was a mortician until they told me that, yeah, he got killed not too far from his job, and somebody slit his throat with the sword. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was at a Christmas party. I actually laughed. And the lady's like, no, 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 that's not nice of you. I'm like, he's not my father. And she's like, well, we don't know that. I said, well, he's out my hair, you know. And she say, are you still going to your counselor? Because I think you're a little distraught. I said, no, I'm not. Y'all stop calling me crazy. Y'all keep saying I'm crazy because that time I was saying my mother existed. I knew who she was. I was saying I had a brother, another sister named Crystal. And there's people that I was drawing through in therapy. They kept saying it was imaginary friends because I was locked in the closet for so long. So I was making up people. It took me to turn 17 years old for them to realize I wasn't crazy all those years y'all tried to medicate me for. Then on top of that, in the midst of me going with some people that claimed they was going to adopt me, the man started raping me and molesting me. Now, the guy beforehand would beat me all the time, but now I got a family who claim they love me and want a child raping and molesting me. So I'm like, what's going on? So what I would tell DSS people about it, you're just going through something right now. You know, that's not happening into you. You're just upset. You know, see if this will work, this, that, and the third. No, it doesn't work. So yeah, I started causing chaos. So a reason to get out from under them. They don't want no child that's wild and crazy acting. So they're gonna have no reason but to give me back. And that was like, this is sickening. So through all of that I was going through, I still managed to go to school, play sports, make good grades, you know, and try and find a way out. Then when I did get adopted from a family, he started touching on me. And I think it's because they told him that in the previous situation that I was claiming to be touched or whatever. So he figured, well, if he do it, then it's just another, she want to stir up trouble type situation. And I told the adopted mother that the condoms that she was finding, because she would find condoms when she would wash his clothes in his pockets. And she would say, oh, you just because you out there driving trucks, you must be sleeping around with the women in the streets. And little did she know he was coming in my room while she was drunk, raping me. A 12-year-old. And the best you could do is say it's my fault.
It's okay, love. Get it out. Get it out. We're here for you.
Yes.
Okay.
And it was more so, you so drunk, you're not even seeing what's going on around you. And then to keep me hush hush, he'll leave money under my pillow. Where in the world a 12-year-old, 13-year-old can go spend money at? And then she started in his wallet and stole the money. I just didn't get it. I'm like, what did I do to deserve all of this? What did I do? And then when I confronted him on it after I got older and said to him, do you realize what you did? How I was numb to guys trying to date me? It was always something. And then the guy that really wanted to date me, I was like disgusted by him. And it wasn't the fact that he did something to me. And all he did literally was touch me on my shoulder. And it's because he came up behind me and did it that turned me off. Because that's what my so-called dad did to me. Come up behind me while I'm not paying attention or I'm doing something. He's coming up behind me, touching me from the back to get my attention. And it was so to the point when he would come around, it's like this smell. I don't know if anybody ever experienced anything like that, but your attacker has this smell that you don't get rid of, that you can smell when they're around. And it was get to the point, where I just left home. I was 15. I moved out. Asked my aunt, can I come stay with her because I couldn't live there. And I could find in my aunt because I trusted her enough to understand what I was going through. But she, what I was, and no, that. What you doing? Go see. I don't know. Go ask him who he is. What do you want? I don't know. Is he bringing the mulch? But with all that going on, she told my mom about it. My mom called me a liar and said that, oh, that's my way of getting attention. Okay, can y'all experts who they are? I mean, y'all big enough to say who are you, aren't you? I don't know. He said, I'm a coach. I'm outside. Front door. How you doing? Are you the one about pressure washing? Oh, that's okay. That's what that is. He about pressure washing the house. No, he's coming to see what we was talking about outside where I took the picture earlier. Sorry about that, y'all. Taste it.
You're okay.
Go show him outside. Yes, I'm sorry about that, y'all. I'm got people coming about seeing stuff, trying to get stuff fixed for my son's graduation. But yeah, with all that was going on, it was like I couldn't get loose from nobody. It was like I was always caught up in something. And it was always to the point where I had no defense for myself. I felt helpless. So I just cut everybody off. I just distanced myself from everybody. And when I did that, it was, oh, she having a mental breakdown. You know, I need to find her. You know, she need to go to the psych ward because she's delusional. You know, stuff like that. So I went ahead and finished up school. Nobody came to my graduation. I was just like, everything, I was always on my own doing it by myself. No support, no care in the world where I was at, how I was doing it, if I was doing anything. But I truly thank God that I was able to not be on drugs, not running the streets selling myself, because I was always told, oh, you're so pretty. You're so pretty. Or are you Dominican? You know, whatever. I'm not mixed with anything. I am Islander, but I'm not Dominican, you know. And if I would have not kept my right mind, I would have been out there doing all kind of stuff that I had no business. But I already knew that I came up from a messed up situation. So why would I screw myself where I can't think? You know, and I always would say that to myself, how can I put myself in a situation where I'm not reliable for my action. And I will always pray to God, always ask him, what did I do wrong? Why did you put me here? And I was always helping others. And I found that as an outlet because I always believe in helping other people. You know, I would see people all the time. People would ask me, even when I got my first little place, I ain't gonna lie, I lied. I was 16 and was renting a place from this guy who thought I was 18, 19 years old. And I lied on the paperwork and said I was old enough to take care, but little did they know I was only paying the bills because I was working under the table helping Koreans learn English. I was teaching Koreans to speak English, is what they were paying me $200 or $300 for.
He said, do you want the garage door too and the ramp in behind the
No, I just need that area, front area done, because I don't think the other side is messed up like the front end.
Oh, just that side of the house?
Just that side of the house where the garage.
And a roof too?
No, he don't got to do the ramp. Just that area behind the ramp on the door. But yeah, so going through that situation and making enough money to have enough common sense to know I can make it on my own and I can still focus and get stuff done and not being questioned. Yeah. So while I was doing that, helping the Koreans learn to speak English and still going to school because I was still in high school, 10th grade. And this one girl at school, I never forget, was minding my business. We was trying to plan a trip. And she's going to say, so what about those who live on their own? So now it's bringing the principal and everybody into my business because she saw me one day going to a house that wasn't even her business, which was where I was living at the time I was in high school. And she reported it to the school. Then the school reached out to my mom and told my mom that they knew where I was at because she reported that she couldn't figure out where I was at even though I was coming to school. And I told her when she got there, I told her, my mom, I say, please don't come here disturbing me. I said, because I can't do it. I'm trying to do right. I'm not hurting nobody. I'm not on drugs. I'm not selling myself. I'm going to school, and out from school, I'm helping Koreans learn English. I'm not doing nothing wrong to get no money. You know, so she backed off and everything.
He said it's going to be 7-5.
Not today. Tell them not today. I just want to know. Yeah, I just wanted to know. In another week or two. So with all that going on, I managed to go to school. And while I was in school, this is where I feel God was hearing me. And I'm finally hearing back what he's telling me to keep moving. I was in high school my 12th grade year. And while I was in high school, I enrolled to college at the same time. I don't know where it came from. I asked the lady at the office, can I have my high school transcript? And she said, what you need a high school transcript for? I said, I just want to look at it. And I enrolled myself into college. And the same year of me graduating high school, I was graduating a 2-year college with my associates in criminal justice. And it was mind-blowing because they was wondering, how in the world you what? And the lady said, your transcript you gave us was a high school transcript. I said, yes, you asked me when I enrolled in the college. She said they needed it, so I got it, not knowing what the routines are behind going to school. I just got it because she said I needed it, and the school gave it to me. And when she said, oh, yeah, you can take this up now, I started taking the classes, not realizing it was against the law to go to college and still be in high school. I didn't know that. But like I said, God was working in my favor because I graduated honors at that, from a 2-year school with honors, straight A student, from a 2-year school with associates in criminal justice and graduate high school with a diploma, and went to get my first job working in law enforcement by the time I was 18. That's where the story come into play, where I had my accident. I've been working all that time, doing what I do because I love what I did, working in law enforcement. I love what I did. And I was dating at that time. Didn't know I was pregnant with my son. He was 3 months in my womb. I was at a shooting range, and they said they didn't get my paperwork, that I need to go get some labs done and come back. And that's when I found out I was 3 months pregnant with my son, is when I went to go get labs. And I was like, this is unbelievable, because I was always saying to God, I can't do pain. I've been through enough pain. And the whole time I was pregnant, I felt no pain. That was the most easiest. I hear people talk about how they pregnancy was, and it was hurting here. They felt kicks here. They was nauseated. I had nothing. When I say I was 3 months pregnant with no side effects, no nothing, I didn't even know I was in labor when I went for a checkup. They telling me I'm in labor. I was like, what? The lady said, ma'am, are you here to have your C-section? I was like, no, I'm here for a checkup. She said, do you not know you're in labor? I said, I'm what? She said, you're in labor. I said, no. She said, look at your screen. I'm looking at the screen. No lie to you. I'm looking at the screen. I have no idea what I'm looking at. I'm like, here I am in my 20s now. And I'm like, okay. She said, you see every time that goes up, that's a contraction. I was like, oh, wow. She's like, and you're not feeling nothing. I said, no, ma'am. I'm not feeling anything. They rushed me into emergency C-section. And I had no idea I was collapsing. And I was like, this is too much. So with all that going on, I was starting to see my purpose more, and it wasn't just me having to live for myself, but I had a son now. And I had so much that I wanted to do for myself still, because I was still in school. Matter of fact, a couple of days after I had him, a couple of days before I had him, I just graduated from Claflin University with my bachelor's degree. And didn't even know I was pregnant. So that's the thing. So after I had him or whatever went on, I still managed to go back to school and get my master's degree in psychiatry and counseling. So with this taking place with me having my accident, it happened a couple of years in my mind. It happened a couple of years in my mind because I dreamed that I had ran off the road by a church in my dream a couple of years earlier. But my son was 9 months old when I actually had my tragic car accident that could have killed me, but instead it paralyzed me for the rest of my life. And even now, being a paraplegic, I went down the side of that cliff, off the side of an embankment, totally crushing my car, breaking my neck, cutting my spine in half, with my son in a vehicle with not near scratch to his body. And there was nothing I could do but thank God for that.
Minute. You're gonna have to give me a minute. This is a lot.
Yes,
to digest.
It's a lot.
I know when you and I talked and you told me a few things, I feel like, oh my God, I don't even know how to register all of this that you're saying.
And imagine
I'm sitting
how
here and I was watching you. I was sitting here watching you all night, and I'm like, okay, it looks like she's in a wheelchair.
I am.
You
And
are a paraplegic.
I am a paraplegic. I'm gonna tell you the story behind this wheelchair. I'm about to give it to you. Now, with me going through what I went through, I was in the hospital from the month of June to the month of November on a rotating bed. I had doctors and nurses coming to my room, to my door, crying every day that I was in the hospital, crying and praying. And when they finally told me what was going on, they said, when they brought you in here on that stretcher, you were smiling, but you were so broken. But you never stopped smiling. I was like, what? They're like, yes, ma'am, you came in here smiling. And we was like, we got a trauma call. And this female is the trauma victim? Because on the outside, I had no bleeding. Everything was broken on the inside. So everything that they did for me was to fix my inside, because my outside was not broken, not a scratch. All that glass that was broken out there from the crushing of the car, I had no scratches on the outside of my body. Only on the inside was I broken. And the doctors in them could not piece that together. And he could do nothing but cry. I mean, a doctor literally crying, looking in my face, crying. And I'm trying to figure him out. And he's like, and you still smiling. He said, do you not know what I'm looking at? He's looking at my screen on the x-ray machine. He's looking at my paperwork, looking at all my documents. He's like, you have a broken neck, a cut spine, internal bleeding, several arteries that's damaged right now, and you still smiling. And I was like, what I'm supposed to be doing? I'm confused. I'm unaware of the word paralyzed at that moment. I never heard anybody use that word before, so I'm taken back by him telling me, you know, you're paralyzed. And I'm like, okay, can you not talk to me in doctor terms, but talk to me in regular people terms, what that is? And he's like, you're never gonna walk again. I was like, why? He says, because when you had your accident, you cut your spinal cord that runs to the brain that gives the body signal to tell the legs to move, to tell the body to move, is not there. I'm like, what? He said, it disconnect from your brain. I was like, oh, wow. Once again, I'm still not hurt by it. I'm not hurt by nothing he's telling me. Nothing at all. Not even crying at that moment. I'm not hurt. I'm more wondering, where's my son? What can I do at that moment? That's what more kicked in. Not, I'm like this for the rest of my life. What? I wasn't feeling none of that. It was more like, where's my son? Was he hurt? He says, you know, your son didn't sustain anything. All he had was a car seat burn across his chest from where the seat locked him in place from that accident. And you know, the crazy thing about that is, but it was truly a blessing. I went looking around for a car seat from place to place to say, I want to make sure while I'm on the road with my son, he's in a secure car seat, because that time I was hearing a lot of people saying their baby got thrown out the car, or the seat popped, the thing broke loose, their baby wound up on the dashboard. I was like, no, I need to find a secure car seat for my baby. So I'm going from store to store. I didn't care how much it costs. I need to find a secure car seat. So while I'm going from store to store looking, I got my baby with me. I'm telling the guy, yo, put my baby in that seat right there. Put my baby in this seat right here. Pull the straps, not knowing that God is already preparing me for something that's going to take place in my life that I won't have no control of, but it's going to happen. So I'm securing my son in all these car seats. No, I don't want that one. No, I don't want that one. No, that's too shaky. No, I don't want this one. And then finally I got one where I put him in, and I snatched it and I pushed the seat back to see if he'll flip over or flip backwards in the seat, and nothing happened. I told him I want that car seat. I got that car seat. Less than a week of having that car seat, I had this major tragic car accident. That car seat, the doctor said it saved my son's life because it locked my son so tight in there. All it gave him was a chest burn. Now, this is the part right here where I know that God was with me as I went off the side of the embankment. I just left the store with my son. He was mumbling to me, 9 months old, very advanced, because my son started walking at 6 or 7 months. He started walking. So I already knew something was up with that situation. I'm like, what 6-month-old you know up and walking? And he never crawled. My son never crawled. He straight up got off the chair and started walking. And when he did that, I already told my mother, I said, do you see what I'm seeing? My mom says, what's that? I says, where's my baby? She said, oh, Lord, he fell off the chair. I said, no, he's not. He's standing behind you walking. She said, you playing. I said, turn around. She looked down on the floor. He was standing up next to her. And ever since that day, my son has a spirit or something with him, because animals would come to my son. Birds, squirrels, deers would line up on my porch to see my son sitting in the doorway. No lie to you. I got pictures show that my son had animals coming to him. And I'm freaking out because I'm like, oh my God, why is that animal on the porch? My mom said, where? I said, they're literally sitting in the door while my son is in a walker, sitting there like they're talking to him, and he's mumbling back to them. Whatever the conversation was they were having, I can't begin to tell you because I don't know what it was about. But like I said, with all that going on and taking place, with my son from walking to animals coming to him mumbling and being able to do all this stuff so early on, like I said, in 9 months frame, I had my car accident. And that's that same morning that I stopped to the store, got my son a juice, And he was talking to me about, his juice top wasn't letting out no juice. He said, I can't suck you, mommy. And I told him, wait a minute, I'm going to get it open for you. We passed the church. Remember I said earlier in my dream, I passed the church. And I went off the side of the road. I passed that church. The same deers that was talking to my son in the yard that day, it was the same deers that crossed the street. Literally, not the same deers, but deers that crossed the street before I had my car accident. And this lady was doing roadside assistance, doing signs that day for the roads. That was setting up the markers on the streets. And she said something kept telling her in her spirit to go back, to go back, to go back. And she was like, I already bumped up all these signs. I done been out here since 5-something this morning, 6-something this morning, and here it is. I'm trying to get home and get out this rain, And she said something kept telling her to go back. She said she went back and she realized on the paper it marked off that she did that sign, but inside an embankment, I took the sign down. So here she is standing at the top of the road, can't see nobody down, can't see us, can't see my car because my car is so far down the embankment, you would literally have to step over to look down further enough to slide to see my vehicle. So she's looking for this sign and checking her logbook, and I can hear this lady at the top of the hill shouting and praying out to God when she saw my car tilted upside down, sideways, that being by the water. She started shouting and praying out to God. When I say I ain't never heard a cry out like that before, it was so deep. That cry that she gave, and my son did not cry that whole accident that was going on. He was just sitting there, no crying. All he was wondering why his cup got thrown from his hand. He just wanted his cup. And the lady came down there. Now, this is where God come into play and start working. Because she came to that car. She slid down that hill to that car and realized the side where my son was sitting at was still intact. The rest of the car was totally gone. But right where my son sat down in that back seat, that door area and that window was not broken, not cracked, no nothing. It was perfectly intact. But the doors was locked and she couldn't get in. She says, wait a minute. I got to go back up. I'm going to call for help. And I'm going to come get something to break this window to get your baby out of here. You know when that lady came back down, that window was down, all the way down, where she could just reach in and unclamp him and pull him from that car. And she was like, what in the world? She says, did you touch that window? I said, ma'am, I can't even move. I was at that place like a Macy parade balloon. I was so bloated and swole, so I couldn't even do anything but lay there and wait. She got my son out that car. She still say to this day, how in the world did that window come down like that for me to come get that baby? I said, that was God hearing you call out to him in distress like you was yelling, because she had me shook how she was yelling out to God to please secure us in that car, because that car said he's sliding and she can't get to that baby in that car, and she sure can't release me from that car. I was twisted in my car from the impact. I literally twisted my body from under the steering wheel to this other side of the passenger seat in that vehicle. My body was twisted. And when the rescue squad people, the fire department came down to get me from that vehicle, they were standing there with their mouth wide open because I was still breathing and talking to them with my body on the other side of the seat. And they was looking like, we can't even cut the seatbelt right now, because if we do, what organs are we going to damage cutting the seatbelt out? The fire department guy told the rescue squad people, we all going to tag team together. We're going to drill this car from the side, crack this door open, break the top of this hood, and we're going to get in here and we're going to get her out of here. The straps they had wasn't even long enough to pull me out of the beam to get me back to the hilltop. So you know, all those people tag team holding on to each other's arms while the fire department connected himself to me in that strap bed to pull me out from that car. And it was breathtaking, because in and out of consciousness, I was going in and out of consciousness. I could hear conversation going on. And like I said, I wasn't bleeding on the outside, but I was torn on the inside. And the doctors was upset because they didn't fly me. They drove me. And he said if they would have flew me in, he might have would have saved the part of my spine that was still connected to my brain. He could have seized that point and hold it in place. But being that they drove me over an hour away, because I wasn't bleeding on the outside, it damaged me completely. So with me doing all that I was going through from that month of June to November in the hospital, to go into a nursing home to see how people are treated, my Lord. People in the nursing home are treated so bad. Here I am, a young female in the nursing home with people who's in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, and looking at how the staff treat those people. I was really mind blown by it. I was taken back. I was hurt. I had no words. When them nurses would come in my room, I would tell them, how dare y'all treat that old lady like that? Shut up, is what they would tell me. You shut up. It ain't like you can walk and do nothing about it. I was like, 2 weeks or a month I was in there, giving them people cold food, giving them medicine when they felt they wanted to get off their phones or they want to kick their legs up, and hear the lady say she used the bathroom on herself and nobody there to clean her up for hours. Listening to all that going on in a nursing home, family in the nursing home, go see about your people. Raise Cain if you have to, because some people go through a lot in that nursing home knowing that they ain't got no family, nobody to support them. And I know how it felt because I was in there with no family coming for the first week, and how they would talk down to me and tell me what you can do. You can't walk. Oh, who you gonna tell? Oh, I'll move your call light button. Stuff like that they would say. And I was like, just because I can't move don't mean I ain't got no mind. If you gag me, I'm telling. Oh, we smack you in your mouth. What you gonna do? It ain't like you can move. That's stuff they say to people in the nursing homes. And I can't wait to get out of it. I couldn't call fast enough for the state to figure out how I'm gonna get home and get out of this place to get home to my child. You know, I was really hurt by that. But the state came in. They remodeled my mom and them house so I could go home, because I couldn't go back to the place I was renting because I needed care. So they sent me back home to my mom and them. And the crazy part, they're sick. When they built me that ramp and stuff to go back home, my dad was still trying to find a way to molest me, knowing I couldn't fend for myself. Knowing I couldn't fend for myself. And he, you know, oh, if I touch you right here, can you feel that? If I was to touch you right here, let me see if you can feel this if I touch you right here. Knowing that I was a paraplegic. And when that doctor said before I left that hospital, he said, I'm going to make sure you be able to move your arms before you leave here. He called doctors in from England, Spain, London. When I say all across the country that was coming in to try to figure out how to fix me, this doctor was true hung gun on, making sure I was able to function something in my life, to make sure I'll be able to handle my son, because he saw how happy I was. He says, I'm going to make sure I try and figure out something to connect something. I got so many rods and screws in my back and in my neck, I could be a robot. This doctor worked gently. When I say he worked and put his time in to make sure I was able to still function my life after this. Yes, I went home unable to function, but my godmother came. She came faithfully. She started coming through. She said, well, we're going to keep working on arm therapy. We're going to try sitting you up on the side of the bed. We're going to try and figure a way. They had to put me down as bed confinement. Won't be able to do anything in life but be bed confined. I said the devil's a lie, because I know the power that God holds, and he's not going to have me just lay here all my life. I lay there for 3 years. I lay there for 3 years. You hear me? 3 years. And that lady that came to the house saw me sitting up on the side of the bed, and she called in right away. She started crying. She said, oh, my Lord, your paperwork said you was bed confined, baby, that you could not do anything but lay there. I'm getting you a wheelchair today. That lady stayed in my house from 12 o'clock that afternoon to 7 o'clock that night until they delivered me a wheelchair. She said, I'll be darned if I go home today and you don't have a wheelchair to get in the morning. She documented it. She said, y'all would not take that from her. Y'all would not say what she cannot do. I'm sitting here looking at her sitting up on the side of this bed. She's not bed confined. She's able to get up in a wheelchair. She's using her arms. And they told her, send us pictures and a video. She sent it. And they was all in shock. They said, but did you read her chart? That chart ain't got nothing on what she doing today. And I did it. I got up every morning, got situated. My son, only 1 year old, would get up every morning. I still got that stepping stool he would get on. It's a red and blue stepping stool. He would step on every morning to wash my face when I laid there in that bed them 3 years and couldn't do nothing but lay there. He got up every morning to wash my face and to get me breakfast because I told him if you use the microwave and they touch it this hot, do not open it. 1 year old, taking care of me. That's why I tell people, you don't ever say what a person can't do for another person, how big they are. Because my son was 1 year old taking care of me when I was supposed to take care of him. My son still yet, he's 17, about to graduate high school. He never complained, near day of his life of me going through what I was going through. He never complained and says, I'm tired. I can't do this. Why you keep calling me? What you want? It's always, you okay, Mom? What you need? You want me to get that? Don't do it, I do it. He never complained. Near day, and he's 17. I said, God already knew what was going to take place. That's why he gave me the soldier he gave me. Because my son is truly a soldier. He really helped me through my war. Because I was going through it. And to have a 1 year old every morning get up every morning, beat my nurses getting up to make sure I wash my face and had something to eat before he touched his sippy cup, before he went and got his every morning. Hey, my son ain't never complained. I went in the hospital for 8 months, not knowing if I was going to make it or not, because I had major surgeries I had to go through because my prognosis over years caused a lot of bone injuries to our body. And I was in the hospital. The bills was paid. He made sure he came up to see me every day that he had a chance to come see me while he went to school and graduating now, top of his class, honor student, got prom king, got student choice award, and got major colleges looking at him. And he refusing to go to a 4-year college because he want to make sure he's able to be home with me to make sure I'm okay before he go off to a 4-year college. So he's going to take a 2-year to get his associates and then transfer to a 4-year to make sure I'm okay before he leave me. And I'm telling him it's okay to go. Do what you got to do. He said, but nobody's not going to take care of you and watch you the way that I do. And if I leave you and something happened to you, then I'm going to blame myself that I wasn't there to watch. You know, and I said, that's what God put in him, instilled in my son, to be great. People that came to my son many a days and said that God has sent them to him. And my son don't know what anointing that he has in his life. People would come to my son. I had this lady stop me and said that it wasn't her time to tell me, but my son came to her and prayed for her. And you know, I'm thinking she went to my son's school. I'm like, my son in private school, they don't let anybody in that school. She says, you're not going to understand this when I tell you this, but you know how old I am? I said, no, ma'am. She said, I'm 70-something years old. Your son came to me when I was 7, 8 years old. I'm looking at my son playing football. Now, mind you, my son only 7 or 8 years old himself at this moment. So how did he come to you at 7, 8 years old if I'm watching my son at 7, 8 years old playing football? And my son stopped exactly what he was doing and came straight to that lady and said, I remember you. I could do nothing but cry. That lady cried. She cried too because she was like, you remember me? He said, yes, I prayed for you. You had problems with your hands when you was little. And you couldn't, they said you wouldn't play the piano. But you play the organ and the piano. She said, I sure do. She said that to my son. She said, I sure do. She said, yes, ma'am, I remember you. He was playing football in mid-air catching a football. He heard that lady's voice and stopped what he was doing and came over to her. And that lady says, do you remember? He said, yes, I remember you. I prayed for you. And she said, I told you your son came to my school and prayed for me. Now, you 70-something years old. My son is only 7 or 8 years old. And he came to you? She said, yes. You don't know? I said, I don't know. Know what? And she said, you will see in due time. We was at Finley Park. A church group of people got off a bus, saw my son riding a bicycle. And all the women started bowing down praying, looking at my son ride that bicycle, crying and calling out to God. And I could not understand it. I'm looking at these people like, what they see. And I'm looking the way they looking. And I'm like, I don't see nothing but my son riding a bicycle and another kid running after a ball and people playing frisbee. I don't know what they're crying about. And it was because they saw my son. As he got closer, they stopped him. And the lady said, oh, my Lord, do you know the anointing that you have over your life to bring people forth? Do you know that you are chosen one? And I'm like, excuse me, ma'am. You know, that's my son. I'm defending my child. Excuse me, ma'am. move, excuse me, no disrespect, but that's my son you holding on to. Can you let him go? You know, she's like, ma'am, that's your son? I said, yes. She says, do you know he's the son? I said, what? She says, do you know how many people he's going to bring forth? Do he know the power that he holds? I said, no, ma'am, I don't know. I says, now this is starting to get to me now, because with all this going on, people been saying that to him since he was a baby. And now here it is, 7 or 8 years old. People saying it. Now he's 10 years old. And they're saying it. Then a guy that works at Walmart stopped me in Subway to say, where did he go? I'm waiting on him. And I'm waiting on who? They saw my son walk into Walmart. The guy quit Walmart and said that I was waiting on him. I said, waiting on my son? He said, yes, ma'am. I was waiting on your son because the Lord told me I would know when I see him, I could open up my youth ministry. And now that I see him and I'm talking with him, I can leave Walmart. And that dude actually took his shirt off at Walmart, left it at the counter, and walked out the door shouting out to God, praising God that he's about to make a mighty movement. And like I said, I don't know, but we went to a event and a prophet was there, was talking to the young kids that was in the group that was sitting together, which was my son and some other kids sitting all together. And he was speaking and he was saying those that sit there are not ready for the mighty movement, only but one. And y'all fellas here thinking it's a joke. Y'all not understanding where he's coming from. And they looking like, is he talking about the Bible? What are he talking about? You know, so the people in the front of the church started turning around, looking back to see what he was talking about. And those same guys that he was talking about, they're not ready. You know, my son separated himself from them boys. And them boys now robbing, stealing, killing, joyriding in people's cars. And my son said, I told y'all was something about y'all that wasn't fitting with me and I didn't feel right with y'all and I had to have y'all move. And they see my son, they're like, sir, look, man, we said too that something with your spirit ain't sitting right with us. And you don't want to join the gang. You don't want to go hang with us. You don't want to go joyriding. He said, because y'all taking from people. What are y'all doing? He said, now what if all that y'all doing, somebody followed y'all back to my mama house, thinking I have something to do with her. My mama knows something and killed my mama because of y'all foolishness. Don't come back to my house. And I mean it. You know, they started threatening my son. And my son said, Mom, I ain't got nothing to say. They'll leave me alone after a while. And them boys left him alone. They see him now, they just nod their head and keep moving. They don't even hold a conversation. They just keep moving. He just keep moving. And I tell him, now my son doing great things. He helping the community out with people who lost in fires, have stuff they don't, you know, tragedy lost. He helped them find clothing and shelter and feed the homeless. He goes out and do all those things to help people. I was doing it. And then I took sick and I couldn't go out like that. But he continued to find a way to help these people. He even donates shoes in honor of his grandmother, giving to those to have another step in life. He would drop shoes off. They always ask him to come to events and stuff. He always say, no, I'm not there for show. I just want to stay humble, and I just want those people that need, get what they need. I don't want no recognition for it. I just need them to know that it's okay. You know, everybody goes through something. We all fall short somewhere, but you got to keep stepping. That's why I give the shoes. Keep stepping. You know, and it's just so much that I've been through to say that now I can see my journey wasn't in vain. Everything that I went through came to a point where I was covered. I could have been dead many times in my situation, but I'm not. I'm still here. I'm living testimony. I tell any and everybody that I done have people say, oh, you are diabetic? Because I'm a double amputee. I chose to become a double amputee. I chose to have my legs cut off because I was standing 5'11", 225 pounds, all my weight because I'm paraplegic, paralyzed from my chest down, nothing but dead weight, can't do nothing with it. Why would I want to keep all them extra legs and I can't maneuver nowhere? That's just weighing me down. It's just wearing me down. So the doctors and them even asked me, you sure you want to cut your legs off? I'm like, yes, because I can't balance myself with them. I can't get dressed and maneuver like I want to with them. They was just too much on me. And I did, and I'm glad I did it. You know, there's like, oh, you a diabetic? That's why you come. No, I'm not a diabetic. Ain't nothing wrong with me. I don't have cancer. Oh, you don't lost your hair? No, I lost hair this year because the doctors in them gave me the wrong IV medicine that almost killed me. So I had to lose my hair. I lost my skin. I had to wind up getting a colostomy bag put in. I wound up having kidney problems, heart issues. I went through all of this last year. I was going through it. I was really going through it. I went through a transition in my life where I wasn't, once again, promised to be here, but I'm here. The doctor was really throwing back. It's like, you going through all of this, and you had 3-4 major surgeries. One of my surgeries took a whole 24 hours. Doctors had to rotate with each other because I was in surgery so long. I had a doctor go and give his blood to the lab so they could bring it back up to me because I was needing blood. I went through a lot going through what I went through. And to have people that don't understand where I come from and what I've been through to make comments, negative comments, and not understand, need to keep their mouth shut and ask a person before you assume something. Or because you feeling some type of way about yourself, you think I should feel that way about myself. I love myself. Regardless of what I look like. Yes, things change. Like I say, I may not feel or look like I used to, but I'm here. I'm here. I'm still living my life. I'm able to get back in my wheelchair after all these months. Now I've been getting in my wheelchair, what, about a month now? A month and a half now. I've been able to get back in my wheelchair, getting out the bed after being in the bed all those months. Couldn't do nothing but lay there. I'm like, it's like a recycling of stuff all over again. And it's not a bad thing, but it was, last year was the scariest feeling of death for me than it did when I had my car accident. I was more scared last year than I was when I had my car accident. I could have lost everything back then, literally, up on the spot. One move of the neck the wrong way, I could have killed myself. But that didn't bother me as much as what I went through last year, the last 8 months of last year. Nothing. The feeling is totally different. I cried more last year about any and everything than I ever cried. And I don't know, it was because I was scared that I was going to lose my life and leave my teenage son to have to fend for himself, not knowing what people are going to do to him or how he's going to continue his life, knowing that he's very connected to me and emotional to me, that what would he do if he get the call that your mom didn't make it, doing surgery or whatever the case may be. I think that bothered me more than anything that ever bothered me before. What is he going to do? How would he continue to live and understand what he has going on in life without me? But he always said, though, you're going to be all right, Ma. I prayed about that thing. You all right. You're going to come out of this. Watch. Just watch. See what happened. You all right. You good. And sure enough, the doctor released me from the hospital and says, you fine. You all right. I said, I am. He said, yes, ma'am. You can go home. I'm like, I called my son right away and said, Doctor said, I'm coming home. I ain't got to stay here no more. And I was happy because I'm like, y'all keep bringing all these corona people up here on this floor. And I'm already sick. And y'all going to mess around and give me this thing? Because y'all just doing sample rooms. They're not really securing a room. They're just bringing people on the floor. And I was like, no, I can't do it. Then after I got home, I took sick again from the medicine they gave me and put me back in the hospital for another 3 months. So I didn't get back home until the week before Valentine's Day. So I spent all the Christmas, all the New Year's in the hospital. I didn't come home until a couple of weeks before Valentine's Day. So I was really going through the motions. But like I said, through it all, I'm happy I'm here. God truly made me a warrior. And I'm at the point in life where it's okay. I've been through enough stuff to say I'm okay. I could deal with what's next. You know,
Let
I
me
don't
ask you a
want
question.
people to say, well, what's that about? I'm like, it's about me understanding self, knowing that God loves me all these years. I always ask, why me? What's wrong? What's going on? And he answered back, it's not you. It's what I'm doing for you.
Mm.
And while he's doing what he's doing for me, it's for the good of me. I'm still here. I'm taking care of my son. Like I said, my son about to graduate high school. I was here to see every milestone there was he had to take, even if it was from a bedside. But never a day did I not show up to nothing my son had going on. Even I had to call a stretcher crew to take me to a game, to take me to a Marlin event. I showed up to support my son for everything he was enrolled in. My son is just not my son. He's an icon to a lot of other people out there. My son is an international model. He acts, he dance, he's honored in school by other kids. He never seen a day in his life, but they voted him in because they heard so much good stuff about him. You know, people that never seen my son thanks my son all the time for whatever it is, whatever reason they, like I said, they going through talking about whatever it is that him, God, and that person got going on. Dave talks about that stuff. You know, even with spirits. People say they don't believe in spirits and stuff. Look, my son will tell you, he brought plenty of spirits home from the hospital. And I'll be like, what's that noise? And for a long time, I ain't gonna lie to you, I called my son a liar. I said, boy, if you don't stop cutting food, lying about you seeing stuff, God had to tell me to shut my mouth and stop calling him a liar, and showed me a spirit of a little boy that my son keep telling me about. That, do you see that little boy, Mom? Do you see him? And I keep telling my son, stop playing with me. Stop playing with me. And here it is. This little boy appears, and I literally see with my own eyes that my son wasn't playing, that he saw what he saw. And I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? So all this time you keep saying you be seeing these spirits and you be seeing these people, they real. And he's like, Ma, I told you I be seeing them, and you kept telling me stop telling stuff ain't so. And he was for real. He saw what he saw. My son would go to the hospital. He stopped going in rooms because they be calling him. And I'm telling him, one lady said, we was at Orangeburg Hospital. She says, ma'am, your son is in the room with my dad. I said, wait, oh, you see him? She said, yes, ma'am, but my dad haven't talked and smiled in over 2-3 months. The doctors was giving up on my dad. I said, you for real? She said, but your son got my dad smiling. And your son in there talking to my dad, and my dad is talking to your son. But he haven't talked in months. But after that happened, and his family saw their dad smile and laugh, that day my son was there, within 3 hours, that man passed away. And whatever it is he told my son, and him and my son talked about, I didn't ask him questions about it, no nothing. Another guy I knew was passing away, and my son talked with him, but he brought his spirit home. Like I said, I don't know if people believe in spirits or not, but I can hear the death growl in my house over my balcony. And I kept saying, what is that noise? And my son said, oh, I brought Andrew home, but he said he not ready yet, but he'll leave when they have his funeral. Huh? What do you mean? I'm like, now look here now. When he leaving? He said after they have his funeral. And his wife called me and said, we down here in Charleston, we're going to scatter Andrew at the beach. And after that, we heard no more growls in the house. No more death growls. It was gone. It was gone. But then the next morning, we woke up with a bunch of wet dimes in the house. Like somebody was throwing money in the house. A bunch of wet dimes. Like it was at the bottom. It had green and gooky dirt and stuff all over it. And I was like, what in the world does that mean? They have all these dimes. Like, I notice he get them when he's not feeling good. He can wake up and a bunch of wet dimes and stuff is near him or on him, when he's not feeling good. But I was like, and he's rarely ever not feeling good. He only been really sick twice. That's when he knocked himself out by accident at the furniture store trying to jump on a bed and missed it and knocked himself out. And then one time he had an asthma issue. And that was pretty much it. He never really been sick for anything to say, he had to be hospitalized for something or he's just not feeling well. But I don't know. But whatever it is that God is doing, he's doing it. And it's okay with me. It's okay. Like I said, I don't ever question anything.
Let me ask you.
Because you can't let anybody touch your child.
Let
you got people say I'm a prophet. Let me lay hands. You can't just lay hands on anybody.
You got that right. Let me ask you something. I I, I got a whole lot of questions, but I'm not going to ask them. Were you ever? This is some amazing stuff I'm hearing tonight. But I have got to know before we get off this call. Were you ever reunited with your biological mother and your biological family?
Yes, I did. My senior year of high school, I had went to the guy that kidnapped me, sister's house that day, and I told her I was just in the neighborhood and wanted to ask her a question. And I went there and asked her, why were y'all so hung on the idea of him being my father, and y'all did the things that y'all did to cover him, knowing that he was wrong? And she said, we were scared of him. Just like you were scared of him, we were scared of him, and we his siblings. We was just scared of him, so we did what he said because we knew he worked at a funeral home. We knew he had access to drugs that could kill us and put us to sleep and never wake up again. I was like, wow. She said, yes. So it wasn't just you afraid of him. We were too. But that day I left her my phone number. My mom and it was packing up to move from the house they were in, and ran across a letter that he had from his sister and some old papers. And they saw South Carolina on the envelope and tracked that address. And the lady over the phone gave them a phone number to that address. That's how my sister found me. And when she gave that number, she called that lady, which her name's Patricia. I don't mind saying her name. Her name was Patricia. She called and said, I just got through talking to BC. Because my sister don't call me BC. But they was calling me Shonda. I'm like, who the heck is LaShonda? Because, see, that's how they was changing stuff up, because the whole time going through the school system, I never had the right name. So when my sister called, she remembered the name BC because Frank used to always call me that, my abductor. Used to say, this is Renee or this is BC. So she told my sister that I just left the house. Being I just left the house, she had a phone number that I could call to reach her, because I was still in contact with her, because when he died, he left everything to me as if I was his child. And I told him I didn't want it. But when I'm old enough to give it back to y'all, when I'm 18 or 21, whichever the law said I need to do to sign off, y'all can have it, because I don't want nothing of him. That's how I wound up getting to the house to give her my new phone number. And right after that, later on that evening, I was getting ready for a basketball game at the high school. The phone call came through, and the lady that was house I was staying with, because I never went back home to my mom and them. Like I said, I hadn't left home because everything that was going on. I was staying with another lady down the road, a family friend that lived a couple of miles down. She told me I had a phone call. And I was like, nobody got this number. Why would they be calling me? She says, I don't know. She said, she thinks she know you. You need to get the phone. So I got the phone. I was in the mirror doing my hair. I never forget, getting ready for a game. I was doing my hair for a basketball game. And the lady on the phone was crying. And I was like, I can't understand what you say. She says, this BC. I said, why are you calling me that? I said, too many people don't know me by that name. I says, if you his people, don't call to harass me. He's been gone since I've been 12. Don't do this. And she says, who are you talking about? She says, do you know somebody by the name of Crystal? You know somebody named Kelly? I broke down. No lie to you. I broke down. I almost passed out in that bathroom, because those same names I've been telling these people for years existed, but they kept saying I was crazy with imaginary friends. And when that girl was on the phone, boo-hoo crying, she said, well, this is your cousin Tootie. She said, but I got Kelly, I got your mama, I got Crystal right here with me right now. Your brother's not here, but I have them with me right now. And I say, tell me something about me that nobody should know but y'all, if y'all who y'all say y'all are. She says, well, when you was little, about 1 or 2 years old, your brother was running with you from a room, and you fell and hit your head, and you got a gash over your eyebrow that looked like a dimple. And I'm like, okay, keep talking. She says, you got a bull type symbol on your ankle that looks like a birthmark. And I tell her to keep talking. I said, anybody could have told them that. I said, tell me something else. The man that took you name was Frank Amica, driving a black car. You had on a red dress, black shiny shoes, and some white stockings when he kidnapped you from a parade. And I was over it then. I just knew They knew exactly what they was talking about, even the day that they hurt my feelings. But I just knew that was who they said they were, and I called and told them that I was gonna take a trip to see them when I finish high school, but I can't leave in the middle of high school because I have to finish up because we getting out for the summer, and I want to make sure I finish up everything I need to do to graduate. And right after graduation to New York to see them, and they all met me, not just my brother, not just my sisters, but I had aunts, uncles, everybody. They flew in from the islands. Everybody was there to meet me. And they was, oh my God, passing out. They had to call the rescue squad. I mean, they was overjoyed that I'm literally standing in their face after all these years. My mom had a heart attack because she couldn't believe it. But you know what? I said it was something because the whole time before I even connected with them, two of my cousins, the people that adopt me from New York, their family and stuff is in New York as well. So I'm originally from New York, and they was friends with the people who adopt me family. So my cousin Tootie that was on the phone talking to me was saying, I know that face. That girl looked familiar. At that time, she looking at a picture of a 12-year-old, 13-year-old girl and telling the guy that she's at the house with, that little girl in that picture look like she's family. Oh, shut up. That's my little cousin, man. You always in my house finding somebody that look like somebody. And the whole time, they would have been found me. If he would have stopped thinking she was joking, they would have been found me because she came to that house, she said faithfully every day. She even took a picture of that picture on that mantle and says that's our blood right there. And he tell her all the time, yo, don't come here with that foolishness, girl, you tripping, B. Go ahead with that. What's wrong with you? You got issues, you know. She's like, no, that face. That's a Edwards. That's a Edwards. That's family. And he would tell her she tripping. And then when I actually went there and met him, she said, you know where you going? I said, where? You going to your own cousin house, which is your adopted cousin, but you're my blood, and I'm gonna take you to him. I say, for real? Went to Dennis, cousin Dennis Morris, on Denny Morris barbershop in Manhattan. And when we got there, he's like, yo, what you doing here, cuz? I say, I'm here with my cousin and my sister. He say, what? Hold on, yo, hold on. Let's go outside for a minute. We went outside. He's like, so you really did know her? He said, I told you I knew who that was in that picture. And I'm still connected to my family now. We still connected. I met my other siblings. I still have two I haven't met because something went on with my mom that they got adopted out. So I'm still looking for two of my brothers. That's missing, Alexander and Andre. One is told to be in California. The other one I heard is in Atlanta. And that's pretty much it. And I'm still connected to them. The family of the guy who kidnapped me, they still consider me their niece. I'm cousins to them. They still connected to me, even yet today. They see me, they still classify me as family. They just don't disconnect from me because all the years of lies he told. They just can't disconnect, they said. You know, which I can understand if you've been living a life all those years, you know, but I just, like I told him, I just don't want nothing from you all. I don't want nothing from you. So when I was old enough to give him everything that he had left me, I willed it all over to his sisters. I told the lawyer I don't want it. Will it all over. He said, but you know what you're giving him, right? Yes, a house, thousands of dollars, a business, jewelry, all that stuff I don't want. That's the marking of them. Let them have it. They say that's a what? I said it's the marking of the beast for me. So y'all can have it. I don't want no traces of this man. Nothing. And he even had nerves to have in the packet a necklace with the two dogs in it with me in the middle of them. Like I want to cherish that moment. Are you kidding me? Those are dogs that bogarted me like I was a famous movie star locked in a closet in a new movie. But you wanted me to keep that picture around my neck like it was okay. I told him, y'all can have it all. I don't want nothing from this man. So you're going to give it to us. I'm like, yes, I'm literally here. I'm signing it off. Y'all can have it. Now y'all wanted it. Rolled through. The house done collapsed. They done sold the car. They kept the money, of course. Sold the business that he had. Kept the money. Everything. Like I said, I don't care what y'all did with the situation. I just wanted him out of my life. But for so many years, I was tortured with this man. Traumatized with this man. Enough was enough for him. Now that he's gone, y'all still want to have him clashing over my head. He has nothing, no life in my life. He's dead and gone. Let that man be gone. And if I could say that to y'all, poof, be gone, I would. But like I said, y'all still hold connection to me because of him. And I'm not that nasty of a person to say screw off. But I just know I don't have to deal with y'all directly on my own unless I see you in the street. I don't have to come to you. You know, and then with my family, I did fine after all these years of not having them. They treat me like an outsider. They were so anxious to meet me. But now that they thought that I grew up with a silver spoon in my life and they struggled in life, I'm as good at two shoes. I'm that uppity bitch, as they said, excuse the language. I'm like, it wasn't my fault how I was raised. I didn't choose that life. I was given that life. You know, so whatever y'all going through, why y'all holding that over my head? You know, because every time something go on or something's happening or I'm asking them about doing stuff, you know, supporting something, you got it. You got it. Y'all don't know what I got because y'all don't even know half of what I went through. Y'all don't even give me the opportunity to tell y'all what I went through because y'all feel that I had so much. You know, and little do they know I was broken.
I am blown. I am speechless. I'm feeling all kind of stuff right about now. I don't even. I know when I get off of this tonight, I'm going to be processing this interview for some days. Um. Oh wow.
Listen,
Um.
I'm telling you, it's 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 a lot, and I had to learn. I had to learn.
You. Oh wow. We've lost her. A little bit of everything right now. I don't even know how to process all of this. Um. I. Oh wow. Um. But listen, I thank you guys for um hanging out with us. Share the videos. Check me out, my YouTube channel, WarriorShe Room. Um, I don't even have words right now, guys. So I am going to. Oh wow! Thank y'all. Thank y'all for hanging out with us. Um, yeah, that was real deep. Um, I am blown away right now. So thank you guys. We lost her somehow. But it's like 8:30 something now, so we're gonna get off. But LiShawn, if you're watching, I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming to hang out with us. We praying for you and with you, love. Um, oh wow. So you guys, next Tuesday night we'll be back. So tell somebody who can tell somebody that will tell somebody. Um, let's talk. You all have a good night.